So, when did, kind of in your life, when did you become kind of a professional in music? Because I know you started as a bass player, right, and ended up with Bob Luman and them.
Well, I learned how to play guitar, and when I was in high school, I started. I got with three or four guys, and we got us a little band together. And we were playing Rolling Stones and Beatles, and it was 1965,
Wow.
66. So I was playing electric guitar in a rock band. I mean, we weren't very good, but we played for high school dances and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. There were two bands. It was us, our band, and then there was another bunch of guys who were lived about 15, 20 miles away, and they had a band. And the guys in our band, we didn't have any money to buy stuff with. The other band, they were pretty well off financially, so they had all this big amplifiers and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff, but we could play circles around them.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, so
sometimes the best equipment can't replace talent, right?
that's the way it turned out to be in that case. You know, and I mean, we were just kids. We were all learning how to play. But
Yeah, I love that you're like that close to the country music capital of the world and that close to the rock and roll capital of the world, and you guys are playing English invasion songs, right?
yeah, yeah, that's what was happening. You didn't want to go to play a high school dance and play Great Speckled Bird or something. I mean that would have been a one-time job. You know,
Yeah, you're not getting rebooked there, right?
as much as I love that stuff. I mean, when you're 18 years old in a rock band, you don't. That's what you play.
So
You
you're
know.
already learning lessons as a teenager between subject matter and marketability.
I guess, yeah. And then my wife and I had started dating in high school, and I graduated. She had another year to go, and right after I graduated, her parents decided to pack up and move to Chicago,
Okay.
and um, I kept doing my thing with a little dance band, and my wife had moved off to Chicago, and I got to wanting to see her, and I had my stepdad drive me down to um Jackson, and I caught a train. It was about 50 degrees when I got on that train in Jackson, and I took that train to Chicago. And when I stepped off the train in Chicago, it was 20 below. Yeah, I got off the train up there in Chicago, and it was so cold I couldn't believe it. But I took a taxi from there out to the western suburbs where they were living, and I was planning to go up there and stay for 3 or 4 days and come back home, but I never came back home. I just stayed up there, and my wife and I got married not long after that.
Yeah, that's what girls do to us, buddy. I did the same thing. That's why I'm in Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I moved here in 2001 and never I came down here to visit and never went back.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's the way they do us.
Yeah, that's how they do us for sure.
But
I'm glad
anyway,
it
I
worked
got up
out for
there.
you, though. It didn't for me, but I'm glad it did for you.
Yeah, we've been together 58 years, I think.
Wow.
59, well, almost 59.
What
And
what's the secret in that? Just yes, dear.
uh, no, she put up with a lot of crap,
Oh, I can understand that
you know.
totally. Yeah.
But I got up there, and I started going out to hearing some bands, and believe it or not, there was a lot of country music being played in those bars in Chicago, in the surrounding area. And I started going out and hearing some of those bands, and I um came across this one band, and the the guy who was playing bass for him had quit, and they were looking for a bass player, and I just wanted to play. I never had touched a bass guitar in my life, but I went and asked those guys if uh, if I could start playing bass for them. They said sure. So I went and bought me a bass and an amp. And once I had it in my hand, I thought, hey, this is easier than guitar. It's only four
Yeah,
strings.
it's one less string or two less strings.
So I learned how to play the bass pretty quickly, and these guys were weekend players. They'd play like on Saturday, maybe a Sunday. But I heard this another band playing in another place, a little more upscale place than I'd been used to playing in, and the band was just incredibly good, country band, and I mean they were really good, and I just kept going in there and getting to know those guys, and one day I got a call, and their bass player had just on the spur of the moment walked out, and they needed a bass player, and I mean that was like a for me these guys were um,
What'd you do
as
to that
good as
bass
any.
player, buddy? You know you did something to him.
Well, they were as good as any band, any musicians in Nashville.
Yeah.
They were just
And they're in
really good. It was like
Chicago.
in Chicago, and we had a great steel guitar player, and I went to work with them, and I stayed with that band for 6 years up there,
Wow.
and we played in a nightclub. We were the house band in a club up there that booked in Nashville artists every Saturday. So I made a lot of my contacts at that bar in Chicago, and that's where I met Bob Lumen the first time was at that bar when I was in that band up there. But our band was good enough that everybody who came through there and heard us remembered us. They all, we had a, we built a reputation in Nashville by while playing in Chicago.
Hmm. Which is crazy
And
because, like, Nashville's a very proud town. They don't like Northerners and Yankees very often there, right?
yeah, except we could play as good as they could. So
Yep, yep. So now we're talking Memphis, Nashville, and Chicago. So you've added another music hotbed town to your list.
yeah, yeah.
And country music in Chicago is not something you would expect to hear as kind of the way to go up there because that's a very jazzy bluesy place as well.
But there's a lot of Southerners had moved up there uh, for because of the pay in those factories was much better than you could make down in West Tennessee.
Right,
You
right.
know,
So talk
so
a little.
there were a lot of Southerners in those honky tonks up there.
Yeah.